241.
It is episode 241, as we've just established around the table. Welcome to the Hotboxshow. It is 4:25, so we're 5 minutes late from 4:20. Of course, load shedding tonight, so that we're recording this show a little bit early, and we'll go live at 7 o'clock tonight, as we said at the beginning of the series. And speaking of series, or I suppose you call it series, hey? We decided last year that because all of us were so busy and there's lots going on, and in order to keep our content nice and fresh and relevant, we have divided the Hotboxshow into series, and this is actually the last show of this series. Episode 241. I saved that as a surprise.
I always find it so strange during those breaks, because it's like Thursdays to me is like a Sunday to a holy person, you know, with church.
Yeah.
So even at work on a Thursday, I smoke and I tell everybody, listen, you can't tell me anything.
Today's your Sunday.
Today's my Sunday. Today is my righteous day. I will smoke my righteous herb, and no one can give me grief, because I do my job, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a 420 day of the week is a Thursday. I remember when I was teaching, I had a very, very packed timetable, but Thursday was my least packed timetable, and I always used to look forward to a Thursday. So maybe it's just morphed into Thursday 420 day.
Ironically, we've made Thursday our busiest day.
We have.
But we're going to have a little bit of a break, and we'll come back at you all nice and refreshed, and like probably July, the beginning of July. We've got so much we need to get done in the meantime, so...
Yes, it's just a bit of a stop and breathe for a while. We hope you will miss us terribly and contact us on all of the socials, because, of course, everything else in the background with Fields of Green still carries on our 15 or so social media channels, on our weekly newsletter. Have you subscribed to our weekly newsletter? It's free. Just need to go to our website and sign up, and it'll land in your inbox every Thursday. We're not always able to share absolutely everything that we do on the show, because believe you me, we spent the day with the accountants, and that's pretty complicated, because none of us around here are really accountants, but it's Fields of Green for all. We've always strived to maintain the integrity of everything that we do, so we've always paid really, really careful attention to our books. We've just moved over onto a new system, and in the studio with us tonight is our dear Sprout, who will remain anonymously on his green chair in the corner. But I'd just like to make a big shout out to Sprout is busy volunteering his bookkeeping time. He's learning on the Jazz Farm accounts, and then he'll be implementing his skills onto the Fields of Green accounts. And if you all sign up, either as a private member or as a Dacha Private Club member, anonymously of course, or as an affiliate, you will also support Sprout being able to be paid justifiably for his work. Because at the moment he's like everybody else around this table, and like our dear Boomslang behind the tech desk there, everybody at Fields of Green is a volunteer, and at the moment we're really
doing
striving
it for the love of the weed. Yes,
exactly.
And then that's another thing I remember you mentioning before, is that you don't really work with anyone who doesn't consume the plants. It's like if they want to be in the industry working with us, why would you trust even their opinion on cannabis if they didn't consume it?
Exactly.
Have a relationship with the plant.
You know, it's not so easy to get crew. Not that we've tried, because we've been so blessed by amazing volunteers over the years, over the last 12 years. But we've been speaking about, imagine if we could get just one extra crew member at Fields of Green, if we had the money to pay them a decent salary, of course. How would we go about it? Because we are such an organic bunch, and we just kind of schmangle everything together with our lives and Fields of Green and the Jazz Farm and our community and everything. It would be quite a hard thing. Imagine us interviewing people for a job at Fields of Green.
So strange.
Yeah, do you smoke dacha? Well, no, sorry, well then I'm sorry you can't be here.
Next!
Also, sorry, here we test if you're actually positive. You don't accept negative tests here.
Indeed.
But I do believe that, oh, hello, Frank. Frank's come to say how's it. I do believe that as an antidote to a day of accounting, our THC levels are a little
Yes.
Yes.
Dale, what do we got?
Yeah.
Sorry, I dropped the dog.
Don't drop the dog.
Poor little sausage. Amy,
So, Amy, what do we
say
have here today?
Some jamboki. Which I think is, I'm pretty sure it's garden root genetics, and it is actually
It's rolling.
the first official team smoke of the new harvest.
When we pan back to the studio shot, you can see that we've got some branches hanging drying here in our studio because I think it's officially deep in the harvest season.
And it's shamboki. I want to emphasize on that because shambok sounds a little terrifying.
I don't know, it'll help you.
Well, it's not that, yeah. Let's see how it smokes.
But it's got some really beautiful colouring to it.
Yeah.
It's got like this purpley,
Love the high
frosty. Yeah, it really
Love
did
the
well
high
in the
felt.
high felt. Little, not much rot.
Where's it from?
No rot, no
Rot.
PM,
Yeah,
you
it did
know.
really well.
I see that on the airwaves that there's a project going on in California, and I actually sat in on a webinar on this subject a couple of weeks ago about the tracing of the lineage of the various California strains. And I was on this webinar with Michael Krawitz, our amazing international ambassador from Richmond, Virginia. And when he gave his presentation, he actually broke down in tears, telling those people in California, but where does your stuff come from? Where does your stuff, do you realize that the places where your stuff comes from, people haven't even got bridges. The kids have to cross the river physically in the water in the middle of winter. You know, that type of thing. So these strains are really important, and important to grow them in climatic conditions.
Yeah.
And this Shamboki strain was certainly bred for high-felt conditions. Hence, no PM, no rot, no worms. It did very well. It was they were all strong, not very big plants because we planted late.
Yeah.
But,
the quality over quantity this
Yeah,
year. And
really.
also, which I'm very grateful for, is we have very minimal seed or pollen drift
Very
this
little.
year.
Oh, wow.
Whereas last
Very
year,
little.
the pollen drift, I think because everyone
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
But also like that, if you're going to be growing some plants at home for yourself, choose the right plants.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, the
Yeah.
environment is
Climate
suited to the
appropriate.
plants. If you choose
Yeah.
the right plants, it's going to bless you with the best flower.
And local is lacquer.
Don't just go and see.
Local is
Don't just go and see
Lacquer.
all these random genetics with all these fancy names and stuff and think, okay, wow, that sounds amazing to
Especially for
grow.
outdoor. If
Yeah.
you got indoor and you got control, it's different. But if you're
You
just
got-
potting it outdoor in
Exactly.
the season, you have to be careful.
And sorry for you if you're going indoor with our current stage of,
Good luck.
it shall not be mentioned, lack of power.
and if you are, how are you doing it? Put it in the
Yeah,
comments.
solar.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Very expensive
like
solar
there's
backup.
Northern Lights or that Northern Thunderfuck. There's a few of those different strains coming out where they're really suited to cold climates. So don't
Yeah.
go and grow them in the midst of your summer.
Yeah.
Rather think about growing
As a
those
winter
in your
grow.
winter time. Exactly, because they're going to express themselves
Oh, in
nice.
the high felt we do some nice winter
We're
grows.
actually thinking we're going to germinate some of the, what's his name from PE, the American guy?
Devil's
Tony.
lettuce.
Devil's Lettuce. So Tony was at the PE Cup with Amy and Rian a couple of weeks ago.
It's actually one of the sponsors.
He was one
Oh,
of the
nice.
sponsors.
Yeah, he was.
Well done to Tony. He's become a friend, and certainly a friend of South Africa with his Devil's Lettuce strains, and we are going to, not strains, cultivars, and we're going to plant some of his auto-flowering seeds for winter. Because
Nice.
we like
Autos do well
auto-flowering
in
for
winter,
winter.
yeah.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, the soil's good, so.
Yeah, so we're busy preparing the beds for that.
But you
now.
wait till after the black frost comes in, right?
Yeah. Yes. Emil, who most people who are watching will know, gave me this advice many years ago, probably 10 years ago. He said, wait until after June the 16th. And that, of course, is a public holiday in South Africa, so it's not difficult to remember. But certainly on the high veld, wait until after June the 16th and then plant your winter crop. And give it a little bit of supplementary lights, just some little solar lamps and whatever, just to keep it stretching. But that's a good one to mark if you live on the high veld. And then after that, it won't be so very, very cold, because we get our first cold snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but that is this time of the year and getting a bit chilly, and also being quite active on the international drug policy, what's going on in terms of our human rights, near Joe?
Yeah, look, it's been a little bit sad and mad and crazy out there the last few weeks for cannabis enthusiasts. Singapore.
Singapore, eh?
Again.
What is it? Two in just the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 people have lost their lives. They've been executed by the government for cannabis. And in Singapore, it doesn't take a lot to get the death sentence. 500 grams.
Yeah.
500 grams for the death penalty.
You get the death penalty.
Yeah.
They held off during COVID, and as soon as all the COVID restrictions lifted, there have been, there was last year 11 executions, 285 worldwide. Guys, that's unacceptable behaviour from very ugly governments.
Yeah, we really do. Fields of Green for All condemns this most strongly, and we stand together at the United Nations with everybody who does this. And our dear, dear colleague David Borden from Doctors Without Frontiers, he works out of America, and he is always with us in Vienna at the UN, and he works almost completely for extrajudicial killings and capital punishment for drug offences, and he works in countries like the Philippines and
Where it's the worst.
and
Yeah,
Singapore
I mean-
and places like that. So we really salute those drug policy warriors out there who are doing the work.
I mean, that guy was executed the other day.
Yeah, they tried appealing.
He was so loosely involved in this cannabis
He
deal.
never
that
even touched the thing.
And the amount changed, wasn't it a lot less
Yeah, it
than what
was.
he was
it
initially
was a
charged
kilo, or
with?
just over a kilo somewhere.
Yeah,
It's
Well, that's what
Oh.
Jules and I were caught with in 2010, 1.87 kilograms. And you know what's really funny is that in those days we got legal advice, which I think was pretty sound legal advice, that we were facing 7 to 10 years in jail. But the cannabis bill, okay, and we've written a blog about it and everything, so I won't go into it, is now proposing for our same offence 15 years.
Yep.
So after 12 years, nearly 13 years of fighting this, my proposed sentence has gone up by 5 years. How is that?
Backwards.
It's backwards.
Yeah. Then
It's
you've got to make the
backwards.
connection between somebody being hung for cannabis
Yeah.
and snitch on your neighbour at
Yeah.
home. If you are snitching on your neighbour in whatever form you are snitching on your neighbour, and this has been going down this week, big time. We don't want to be complete Debbie Downers and everything, but there are people who will snitch on you if they don't like you or if you don't follow their rules. So if you go and snitch on your neighbour, you are perpetuating the same human rights violation, different in scale, but the same human rights violation that those people that government in Singapore is doing, hanging that poor man who was a family man and a citizen, and they could never prove the harm that he'd done with his kilo of
There was
weed.
no
Nor
saying-
dealing.
And by going and snitching on your neighbour or snitching on other people in the industry because you want to get ahead or because you've got your agenda is the same thing. It's a human rights violation. It is perpetuating this whole idea of criminal sanctions for cannabis when nowhere in the world have they proved the harms.
Yep.
Has the harms been ventilated in a court of law?
What makes it crime?
So
That's
think about it. If you got your own interests at heart and whatever, we know lots of skellums in the dacha industry.
Yeah.
Do you think we would go in and we don't approve of what they're doing?
No.
But it is morally wrong because you don't approve of what somebody else is doing in what is 99% illegal industry in South Africa, and you go and report them to the police.
For doing what you're doing.
You are
Yeah,
guilty of a
okay, worse
human rights
off.
violation.
Exactly.
So I didn't do a Myrtle's rant this week, but that was just it.
That was it.
No, I
Okay.
agree completely.
Exactly.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
If you're in the
Had
industry
enough.
and you're snitching on someone in the industry because they're not following your rules or they're not going to your whatever,
Supporting you in your
that
way.
is beyond, like,
Yeah.
how can you face yourself?
Yeah.
And if someone,
and that's happening a lot.
yeah,
That's
how
happening
can
a
you,
lot.
Oh,
yeah.
bigots are out there.
And pointing fingers. This person's dealing. What is that? That's prohibition language.
Yeah.
It's prohibition language. Dealing should be in a casino or a used car lot.
And what makes
That's
your dealing
dealing.
allowed and others
Yeah, what
isn't?
makes your
No, so
dealing
it's all
any
dealing
different
right
to
now.
anybody else's dealing? It's
Yeah.
all the fucking same.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of
Been a
We've had a
week.
week at Fields of Green, I must tell you. I mean, it goes like this. I mean, last week we had the beautiful launch of the Chiba Africa hemp project, with vital veggies and all of that. And it was so uplifting, and it was such a just a great thing. And then this week we had cases in court and people snitching on other people in the industry. And
But do you think we've come a long way in terms of like that sort of level of abuse? Because my father used to tell me of stories back in the day when a police officer would pull them over, you know, specifically the Afrikaans police officers that would tap you down outside your car on a mat to see if any crumbs of dacha fall out your pockets, you know?
Yeah.
it still happens.
It still happens, bro. We've been pulled over on the way home from filming the Hotboxshow. What do they see? They see a dacha leaf on our shirt somewhere and they're like, now I'm looking for dacha.
Yeah.
Now I want to arrest you. It's like, come on, you know.
So lame.
It really is. But in the spirit of laws and taking one step forward and then another step backwards, you know, we were excited on the 5th of May, Uganda, which is a pretty prohibitive country,
Yeah.
repealed the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act of 2015, which, amongst other things, prohibited the sale and use of specific drugs. On the 8th of May, just but a few days later, the police put out a statement saying, don't worry, they're still going to be arresting everybody under the National Drug Authority Act because that hasn't been changed under Section 47.
Sound familiar?
Yeah,
Gonna say,
Section 47 prohibits possession and Section 49 prohibits growing, and
Simple.
their cases have in fact doubled in the last year.
It would.
So
The laws have not changed yet.
So they basically told everyone, it's free for all, go and do what you want, go and
For
deal
3
and
weeks.
go. And then 3 weeks later, boom, and everyone starts getting arrested when they just got on their feet. And their
That's
plants
it.
just started getting bigger.
And I mean, the cannabis cases basically doubled from 2021 to 2022 to, it basically involved 4,818 people, including 137 juveniles. But they just, I mean...
In the country, so you divide that by 365, too complicated after the Shamboki.
Way too much, it's
But
very
we're
nice.
talking a significant amount of arrests in Uganda every single day. So are they throwing all the weed smokers in jail with all the LGBTQI people as well? Because we do know that that Uganda is a highly prohibitive country in Africa, and is want to make their laws on the basis of moral judgments and not on evidence. So Uganda, sorry, you didn't really win the prize from us. Who's next?
Eswatini!
Yo, guys, our weed has been coming from Eswatini for
Not so much anymore, you know. The Eswatini rural farmers, because they're part of a kingdom, don't get included.
No.
But they've been part of our supply chain for generations and decades and centuries, and
That's it. There we go. They're planning to legalize the lucrative cannabis trade in the southern African kingdom of Eswatini by overhauling a 100-year-old colonial drug law.
Yeah.
But the problem is, the people who are going to be, who have the authority to hand out the licenses, what they want to call the medical regulations authority or something.
Yes, they've been on
MRA.
about that for years, yeah.
They have a license to grow and import and export and dispense and whatever.
They've given themselves a
But
license.
they've also decided that they are going to be the authority who hands out the licenses.
Nice.
You can't be the ref and the player. Somebody from
Good one.
in this article, that was his quote, because you can't be the ref and the player at the same time. That is not fair. It's cheating.
So here's the thing. So basically, authority or government officials get the job. They get to grow all the weed and export it and make the money.
Yeah.
Or the license holders are going to be foreign investors. So none of the money is actually going to go into the
Where
country.
the profits.
Well, that's it. The residents of
And bottom line is, hello, monarchy.
And then all the
you know,
weed.
who's going to get the money in there?
the rich are going to get richer, and the legacy growers are going to get up the arse again.
Yeah, all those people that have been carrying buckets and baskets of weed on their head and their backs through the mountains, you know, all of them are going to be cut out.
But it looks like that it has to be, we have to turn this whole thing on its head. Because what I learned in Barcelona, and it's showing up in the news feeds, is that what America are doing now in certain states, particularly California, Colorado, and Washington, D.C., is they are trying to establish some sort of social equity for their legacy growers. It's a bit arse about face, but they are trying to do that now. And then High Times did report yesterday that the tax revenue in California and Colorado the cannabis tax revenue has surpassed the alcohol tax revenue. So that's quite significant.
Yeah.
So maybe, but in South Africa, tax doesn't work like that.
So what they make the money and then give the legacy growers like, here's a penny for your thoughts.
Maybe.
Here's a little bit of money. Sorry, you didn't make the money, we did, but
We'll
just
see how
in
they
case.
how they're going to roll it out, but at least they're having the discussions around
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
At least they're having the discussion. So maybe that's, you have to open all the floodgates and have this like big mishmash of what, and then eventually, in South Africa though, all the tax goes into the one pot. You can't say, oh, the weed tax must go for the rural farmers. You can't say that.
Yeah.
It's not how it works here. But it does work like that in America and certainly some of the states. So maybe some of that tax revenue, and then us in South Africa, we like to be like America, then maybe because this is taking such a long time, maybe there will be time for us to get the equity thing right.
I hope so, yeah.
Because at the moment, this week's conditions for being a cannabis activist were very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, difficult.
Yeah.
It is not too much fun and sunshine at the moment in the weed world. I am so incredibly blessed to have sponsorship to go to Germany week after next, and I'm scratching around for some good news. I don't want to go there and be your ultimate like.
No, you say.
This is the Karen from South Africa saying how totally fucked up the cannabis industry is. So if you've got any good news out there, please put it in the comments. I know that we're not live this week, but we certainly will from 7 o'clock. We'll watch the comments. Please tell me what I need to say in Germany. That is good news, okay? And nothing to do with licenses and the Dachadom-Pass, please.
Yeah.
No, not good news that, you just got your license. But really, really good news out of South Africa, apart from the fact that we've got an amazing cannabis community.
Yeah.
We do.
It really is. As I said in Barcelona, cannabis social clubs, the magic is in the social. So I think we have to hang on to our community with
Everything we've
open
got.
arms.
Yeah.
Joe was just speaking to Clifford, who is with Silverleaf, who are one of our affiliates, and he was telling her and showing her pictures about Africa Burn.
Africa Burn. We're going to put out a blog after, but there's somebody else who's doing like a very dedicated article, and then I'm going to steal snippets and make a blog. They had the best time. They handed out 1,000 joints. To be that a three-story size leaf that they burned at a specific time, and man, I have to go to Africa Burn next year. I have to go.
Yeah, we're hatching a plan.
I'm saying to all the young ones, I'll stay at home and look after the dogs.
Yeah, so please support Fields of Green Falls so that we can go and represent at Africa Burn, because it's very important work stuff.
And we need a camp. Please invite us to your camp.
You don't want to go.
We're pretty cool and we roll great spliffs.
Yes, we do. We roll great joints.
And I think the spirit of at Africa Burn, I've been twice already, sort of been there, done that. But the spirit of Africa Burn is certainly a spirit that you find in the cannabis community. Yeah. And when you go there, you see, Jules and I used to see so many people that we knew. We felt like we knew 80% of the people who were at Africa Burn.
It's diverse and accepting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think our cannabis community is for sure diverse and accepting. And if it wasn't for you people out there, the people who are members of the Green Network at only 49 Rand a month, all the way through to our platinum affiliates and our supporters and our sponsors, we really thank you, because if it wasn't for you, we might have packed it in this week.
And there are huge positives for Germany.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, Dale's sharing a positive for
honestly,
Germany.
just right now, if you want to decide to go out to a cannabis club, you have a number of options. A number of options where you can go and sit down nicely and privately and smoke a weed or pick weed from jars and stuff. It's an option now.
Chat to somebody interesting.
I've got my favorite.
Our underground market is alive and well.
Yeah.
That's very good news. You know?
True.
Yeah.
So I think that
Nothing wrong with
those
that.
support your local cannabis club, ask around how you can join, and when you do join your local club, please tell them about us. You might just find and be very, very happy that they're already signed up to our Dacha Private Clubs project. But if they aren't, remind them that it's costs one bag of weed a month, 420 Rand a month, and then you become part of history. Because that is what supporting Fields of Green for is really. If we had to give a certificate to each one of our members and our supporters and everything, what do you think it should say? This certifies that so-and-so club or business or individual is part of history.
Yes.
For supporting Fields of Green for all.
Because it's literally going to be in the
Yeah.
history books. One day
Yes.
your grandchildren are going to be reading stories about this revolution of cannabis, which is happening right now.
Yeah.
We're living
Yeah.
through it right now. It's so exciting.
And we have to
Dude, it's
support the
frustrating,
clubs.
but it's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to every single club that has already signed up.
Yeah,
Ugh,
we really appreciate
we really are
it.
grateful.
Our papers are busy being prepared, our actual heads of argument for going to the Supreme Court of Appeal with the Hayes Club. So we told everybody last week that we've been accepted as amicus curiae, friends of the court. So big up to all the clubs who have signed up already. There's still lots of bills to pay. Pay your, play your part. And who knows, there might be a surprise. You might get a shiny certificate to hang up on your wall to say that you are part of history. Which I think is fun, and it's part of community building as well. So thanks to those people who do support us. It's really important. So thank you, Dale, for giving me some good news to take with me to Germany. But I'm not going just yet. And I think we are about to lose the power.
Yeah,
So,
I think we should do that. Yes.
thank you so
I'm
much
good
for
to already
joining
know
us on the
now.
Hot Box. And I'm just giving everybody one breath's chance to think of something to say goodbye. Amy.
Question everything.
Good one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Question
Yeah.
everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Dale.
You never know enough.
Exactly.
Stay safe and choose happy.
All is not what it seems under the Dacha tree. Light one up for Jules. Cheers.